Hello everyone, my name's Tony Roberson. I'm running for Sheriff of Rutherford County. Wanted to take this opportunity to be able to speak to as many people as I possibly can and answer as many questions as I can. This is something I plan on doing on a regular basis. Even after election, I think it would be good to do this on a regular basis. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. Born and raised in Cliffside, North Carolina. You know, I've worked at cone mills, at cotton mills, just like many of you have. When that industry started going south, and I mean that literally, going to Mexico, I decided I needed to find another line of work, and I went to ICC, went through BLET. The first job that I ever had was jailer at Polk County Sheriff's Office, and I was hired doing that while I was still going through BLET. So once I got on the road, I just decided to stay there my whole career. I have held positions. I went from the road to an investigation and held a position of sergeant and lieutenant in investigation. I've held the position of captain over the road and investigation, chief deputy, and then position of interim sheriff for a period of time there in Polk County. I've held the position that I'm running for, and I'm very confident that I can bring my knowledge and experience back to my hometown and make a difference in what I see to be some extremely trouble spots that are in the county right now. And I'd like to talk about a few of those things before we open it up for questions. I feel like that the scourge on this county is drugs. Like I said, I'm from Cliffside, North Carolina, and when I ride through Cliffside now, Caroline, Henrietta, the area that I grew up in, when I ride by there, it's just a shell of what it used to be. It's really, really hard to see, really. It's like an occupying force has taken over down there. And it has. Drug is an occupying force. Drugs are the occupying force that's taken over, not just the lower end of the county, but man, it's most prevalent there. There's no doubt about that. My mission is to attack this drug culture with everything that we have. That's going to mean that we're going to have to do some changing in the sheriff's office as far as where we place personnel, because what it's going to take is to go in these high crime areas that are just full of drugs and do a submersion campaign where it's relentless. You stay on it and you stay on it and you stay on it until you start seeing results. This is going to take extra manpower in these areas, and it can't be a one and done campaign. It's something that you're going to have to keep constant pressure in those areas, and eventually you'll start making huge gains by using that strategy. A number of things that I think will help that along is one would be a real robust community watch system. And I don't mean the kind where you just stick the sign in the yard and weed eat around it all summer long. I mean a really active community watch system. I would like to have it to where in each of the sectors in our county, and there's 4 of them, that we would be able to have monthly meetings with the citizens of each sector of the county and discuss what problems are going on in the community let me hear what you're seeing. It will better help me to be able to solve the problems. The more information that I can get from you guys, because you're living there all the time, the better chances there is of me actually being able to do something about it and officers being able to do something about it. I definitely want, I definitely want to be able to have communications with you guys. It's important to me, and it's important to my goals. I want to have a situation where maybe one day a week that you guys can come to my office, sit down, tell me what problems that you're having, and let's see if we can't work on them together. But it's going to take an effort from everyone, and I want the community involved in it, because I have enough sense to know without community involvement, this is going to be a war that's going to be hard to fight. You guys have everything to gain to be involved in your community, because you live there, you raise your kids there, your grandkids. We all want a safe place to raise our kids, and for our kids to be able to go outside and play without worrying about the element around them. Going to Walmart and sitting in the car, and your kids don't have to just look right across the way and see a drug deal going down. But that's where we're at right now, and that's exactly what I want to do. I want to make this county a safe place to raise your kids and your grandkids, much like it was when we were coming up in this county, and that's very important to me. I don't know how many questions we've got coming in right now. A good many of you are on here. Looks like we got 43 people. That's great. I'm glad to see that. Let's see, J.C. Harden, how would you improve response time in Sheagle, Holler, and the White House area? That's going to go back to what I said in my statement. We're going to have to have more men that's actually on the road working other things other than, you take for an example, we've got people that have positions that are not producing that much right now. The interdiction team is one of them, and it's my plans to have those guys out on the road. A lot of times response time is no fault of an officer whatsoever. It's the call volume that we have in the county and the lack of personnel we have to handle it. So first we have to utilize what personnel and assets that we have already in place. We've got to use them properly. And then there's ways that I feel like we can get more positions through grants, talking with the county commissioners. But in all fairness, they want to know that we're utilizing our assets properly before they look at going that route. And we will. That'll be the first thing that we do. But I believe that more men on the road is the answer to your question. That would definitely decrease response time. What would you do to reach out to the youth of the county? That's a very good question. That's where it all starts. I want my men to be community police officers. That means I don't want them riding around. If they just riding around patrolling, I want them to get out and talk to people. If they see a group of youth playing ball or just standing around talking, I want my officers to get out and have a conversation with them. Be accessible to them. Be their friend, because that's exactly what they should be. The young people shouldn't be afraid of law enforcement officers. They should know that we're there for their best interest. But I definitely would want a force of men who are willing to be community leaders. And that means getting out and talking to the public, and especially the young people. Mark Lefford. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely need to ask the county commissioners for positions. Like I said a while ago, I think most county commissioners want to see us utilizing the assets we already have properly, which we will do. And then I really don't think that they would have much problem in sitting down and discussing putting more positions on the road to help us with our campaign. I really think that once they see that we're using all that we have properly, then that would be the next step, and I believe they'd be receptive to talk about that. Definitely. I mean, who would want dirty cops and drug houses in the county? I don't know most of the deputies in the county. I do know that there's a lot of them that do an excellent job and have the best interest at heart for this county. I realize that. If there's any dirty cops or corruption uncovered when I get there, you can bet that'll be the first thing we'll deal with. It'll be gone. Joy Mara Brooks. Yeah, I agree with you. You can help in several different ways with drugs. I mean, you can make it extremely hard for them to get the drugs. That's my job to do, to make it hard for them to be able to buy the drugs. But you can't solve the addiction problem as a law enforcement officer. There definitely needs to be some rehabilitation centers, and there's some in the areas that are really good. But yeah, I'd love to see a real rehabilitation center in the county. I sure would. Absolutely. He's asking, would I commit to publicly disclosing all funds seized from drug activities? Absolutely, I would. I see no reason why you wouldn't. That should be public information. I have no problem with that whatsoever, Andrew. Yeah, let's talk about that for a little bit. Narcotics is a tough business to work in law enforcement. It's you're working with some pretty seedy people. I'm of the opinion that narcotics officers do not need to make a career in that position. I feel like that department needs to be rotated out on a regular basis, because I think that first off, the getting burnt out in that position is really, really easy, and being around money and things of that nature. I think that if you put somebody in narcotics and you leave them in there and they're making a career out of that, I feel like you're setting them up for failure. I really do. I have no intentions of building a narcotics team and leaving them in there forever. I hope that answers your question there. Okay. Michael Shue, hello. What is your plan for defenders? Yeah, it is a big issue. You can ride through these communities that we've discussed, and it's filthy. I think that there is a position at the sheriff's office right now that looks into that. I think it's just one officer, but Yeah, that needs to be looked at between the state and what we can do as a law enforcement agency. It needs to be looked in and cleaned up and kept that way. Um, like I said a while ago, if there is corruption in the sheriff's office, it would be dealt with immediately. And yes, to answer your question, and it was a good question, I'm glad you asked this. I am definitely interested in bringing back good cops that has worked in the county and has the experience. Uh, I'm not so much concerned with putting people in positions just because they got a 4-year degree. Uh, I have nothing against someone with a 4-year degree, but I want people who have experience, who's been there, who knows the job. I am almost positive academia cannot teach you how to be a good law enforcement officer. It can teach you a lot of good things, but it's not going to teach you how to get out here and work effectively as a law enforcement officer. So to answer your question, yes, there will be some experienced people who are no longer there that will be coming back. Not going to name any names right now. Got to keep some things a secret, but yeah, that's my plan. Yeah, absolutely. I would I would love to have a program where we have a road crew out there paying their debts to society, cleaning up. Didn't really realize we didn't have one now. I thought that was still ongoing, but if it's not, it's something I definitely want to start back. Well, you know, from what I understand on that, is used to there were a handful of bonding companies here in the county that took care of all bail bonds. Now you've got some big companies that are coming in and they're give you an example. Used to, if you got out on bond, it was 10% of the bond, which is fair, but not all people can come up with that kind of money. Now you've got bond companies coming in there and doing it for 2%. That's pennies on the dollar from what it should be, I believe. I think that a system should be set up in the jail, a policy should be set up in the jail where that our local bondsmen are being the ones that are called first. The bond is going to be a little bit tougher to reach in some cases. Two, the money goes back to our local people. I need to look into that. I don't know exactly how many big bond companies are coming in right now, and exactly, be honest with you, exactly what I can do as sheriff, but I strongly dislike 2% bonds. Not a fan of it. Would you be able to bring back drug court with a judge in the county? I've had several people ask me this. That is something I'd be very, very interested in. I plan on sending them a lot of business, so there needs to be a separate place for that. So yeah, I believe that will be coming out of necessity. Hello, what do you think about your opponent having a 4-year degree? Well, I really don't have a problem with that. Kind of makes me feel good that, after the election, he'll be able to find gainful employment. So that's all I'm going to say on that. the rotation of officers sounds like a good plan. Yeah, I mean, you know, I think it's common sense, and I appreciate that. Yes, especially near my home, I know that there are at least 5 meth houses within a mile of my house, and I have informed the narcs, but of course nothing has been done yet. Look, I can't speak for what they have done, but I sure can tell you what we'll do. Anytime we get a lead that there's that many meth houses, well, first off, if we're doing our job, we know it, right? You don't have to tell us. If we're doing our job patrolling, if I'm doing the job properly, and we're submersive in the areas that are high crime areas, we're going to know where they're at. You shouldn't have to tell us where they're at. We should already know that. But I can promise you this: there's no greater goal than for me to get rid of those drug houses. And from day one, I think that you'll see that for yourself. Okay, it says again, you say you will attack the drug problem. Tell me how. Well, I've kind of went over that a little bit. It has a lot to do with having the manpower to do it. I personally feel like that there's some positions right now that are not being utilized properly. So my first thing would be to clear that up, get us more manpower on the road, along with there's some grant money out there that will create new positions. Also, the county commissioners will be asked to help beef the road up. Once we've got to that point, we can go to high crime areas in this county and just do a submersive campaign, a patrol campaign, to where we go out there and, for lack of a better term, harass the crap out of people. We got a drug house. We're going to pull every car over that comes out of that drug house. Just the sheer amount of force that we're going to have there is going to make it difficult for them to continue doing business as usual. And that's what we want to do. We want to disrupt it. And the more that you do it, you stay at it, the more these houses are not going to be able to stay in business, because nobody's going to come there because they're going to know we're right around the corner. It just takes effective police work, which requires manpower, and utilizing those assets in areas that you know you're going to need help. The areas that are drug infested is where you need to be. I hope I've cleared that up for you and answered your question. What can we do in our communities to help you and your deputies with the drug problems? Well, hopefully I don't. If I'm reading that right, I'm hoping I don't have deputies with drug problems. But it goes back to what I've been saying. You're going to have to first make it hard to find a place to buy the drugs. You're never going to completely eradicate that, but you can make it very difficult for people to. Right now, you can go to just about any business or in their parking lot, and you can see drug deals going down. They're complacent. For whatever reason, they're not afraid to do it in broad daylight. This is something that used to be done back behind a building somewhere. But it's not that way anymore. There's a level of complacency that should not exist in this county when it comes to drugs. But we had touched on it a while ago as far as helping people with drug problems. Rehabilitation is something that I'm big on, and would love to see rehabilitation place here in the county locally. Nikki Roberson. Hey, Nikki, how are you? Well, let's let's look at this as a two-part question here. I have held this position before, and just to put it plain, I think this applies to the sheriff and the deputies. You got two kind of officers. You got one that recognizes the power they have, recognizes the badge for the power it brings them. Those are never good cops. They are the ones that can stumble into something like this. The other kind of cop you have, it recognizes that badge for the responsibility that they have. That's who I am. I would never find myself in that situation. I just know it. Don't want any deputies that finds themselves in that situation. As far as you mentioned word of faith, let me say something about this real quick. I've never looked at a case file about word of faith. I've never laid my eyes on any facts or anything. But let me promise you this. Any allegation deserves a fair and impartial investigation. Okay? During that investigation, it uncovers that a law has been broken, then we need to prosecute to the fullest extent of the law, regardless of who it is. And regardless of what position you have in the county or in life, if a law's been broken, it needs to be dealt with to the fullest extent of the law. If necessary, would you patrol third shift if you needed to get a feel for what your men are going through? Absolutely. I will not be a sheriff that sits in the office. I can't stand that. But I'll definitely be out on patrol with my men. Sometimes I'm going to have to be in the office. There's a sheriff wears a lot of different hats, and there's a lot of different things that he's going to have to do. But yet, you'll see me out patrolling with my men, third shift and first shift. You'll see me out. You'll see me out answering calls. If we have a third shift officer that was out due to sickness or whatever, you're going to see myself, my major, my chief deputy. We're all sworn officers, and we're all going to be out there pulling our weight. How many years experience do you have during your career? How many years have you spent in law enforcement as a sheriff? As a sheriff, it was just on an interim basis, so I wasn't in there long. But I've been in law enforcement I was in law enforcement a total of 13 years. And yes, to answer your question, I am a Christian. Very much so. Thank you for asking me that. Hey, Kyle, will you be there to talk to the public and not hide behind your desk like some people in the past and present? Yes, that's exactly. I want to have a day, at least one day a week, where the public can come to my office without appointments or anything like that. Come to my office, come in, sit down in my office and have a discussion with me about what problems they're having in our community. It's very important for me to do that. But aside from that, I want to go to their community. I want to establish in each and every community, I want to establish a place to where I can come in monthly. People can come in there and we can talk, and they can ask me questions, and they can tell me I want to be accessible to the people. Listen, the people are the ones who are paying my salary. The people are the ones who put me in that office. The people are who I work for. Kevin Lane, what are your plans? Hey, Kevin, what are your plans to keep the citizens of the county informed about operations of the sheriff's office and arrests? For example, Polk County has a Facebook page that in which they post their busts and arrests. Well, uh, I know Timmy Wright, and he has done a wonderful job in this situation, and definitely it would be something similar to that, something to where you could get online and see what was going on, what busts were made. That's a good question, and that's definitely one of my goals. Something can be easily done and should be. Okay, so it will be next year. Yeah, it'll be 2022. It'll be 2022. It'll be April of 2022. But what I'm the first hurdle is I'm running for running in the primary against Chris, and we need everybody to come out and vote that believes in this campaign. It's a kind of a midterm. It is a midterm election. The election is, but the Republican primaries you have even less people that come out for those, and it's very important. I mean, I love it when you tell me you're supporting me. I love all the comments I'm getting, but if that don't equate in votes, if you don't actually come out and vote and support me, then we're not going to get anywhere. And that's the most important thing is election day. I think it'll be in April of 2022, be between me and Chris right now. But that's going to be where the battle is won or lost, and it's going to be up to you guys. You guys are putting the sheriff that you want in the position that he has. So if you guys want change, then it's going to require you putting some skin in the game and coming and voting for us. Do you have any plans to be the better relationship between law enforcement and the public? Yes, I do. I mean, that's part of my whole plan is to be more transparent and mainly more accessible. And I want my officers to be accessible. I mentioned a while ago, if they're riding through a community and they see someone sitting on a porch, I expect them to stop and talk to that family. I expect more of a community approach policing than what we've seen in the past. And I, you know what, I think the majority of the officers want that also. The problem right now is that they're in a reactive mode all the time. They are reacting to calls. They get a call, they go. If it needs to be investigated, investigators called out. If the investigation goes well and they find out who done it, there's charges made, and it's just over and over and over like that. That is just being reactive. We need to put ourselves in a position to be proactive, and proactivity includes getting out in major part talking to the public. Describe what you hope the relationship will be with the schools and the youth of this county. I hope it'll be one of trust with the youth of this county. I hope that we'll be able to create programs that will explain to them the dangers of what they see in the community right now as far as drugs is concerned. I want my officers to be approachable to these young people. I don't want them to feel like that I don't want them to feel afraid to go approach any law enforcement officer, because it's not that way. I know what's in the heart of law enforcement officers, and I think that most of them would enjoy having that interaction with the youth. Well, thank you, Olivia. Eddie Davis, I wish I was still registered to vote in North Carolina. Well, you know what? You can still help by telling people about it. That's a huge help. I'm sure you know plenty of people who live in Rutherford County right now, and you put in a good word for me, I sure would appreciate it. I'll tell you what, while we're loading more questions, I'm going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with you in just a few minutes. Well, hello, glad to be back. Going to go right back into answering some questions as soon as we get. Well, Andrew's writing some big questions. In speaking with a number of former sheriff's deputies that appear to have been terminated for attempting to address troubling issues they observed while working. Let's see, it went away. Let's see, Sheriff Deputy expressed hesitation in taking action, speaking up for ongoing concerns, certain practices. Well, listen, let me explain this. First off, the Citizen Review Board is something I'm very interested in. In fact, we will have one. I would like to have a group of people who maybe would go on a ride-along program with some of the officers. They can kind of see what we deal with every day. And but yeah, I definitely want a review board. I think it's important for transparency purposes. I really do. As far as my officers are concerned and coming to me with concerns that they may have, I'm their boss. That's exactly who they need to carry those concerns to. No one in the department is going to be any more concerned about activities going on that could be illegal or immoral. I'm going to be the one that's going to want to know that. I'm not going to be the one that's going to discourage hearing that information, and certainly I'm not going to be anyone that would terminate or punish an officer for being truthful. That's what I want. Ultimately, let me tell you how I feel about this. All of my guys are deputized. Okay, that means that they act on my behalf. It's as if I am doing whatever they do. So it's of the utmost importance to me that if there's anything going on wrong, I need to know about it because I won't allow it. I won't tolerate it. And no officers there'll be no repercussion for officers that are telling me the truth, and I expect them to do so. I've wondered about our cold cases as well. You know, I was talking with someone just the other day about that. There's several cold cases that personally I would like to open up and look at. Wouldn't go out on a limb and tell you which ones right now. I would like to look at several, but absolutely I think that these cold case files are something we should be interested in looking at as a department. Waiting on the next question. We are having just a little bit of technical difficulty right now. Okay, I see one. It seems that the lower end of the county often gets overlooked. What are your plans to get involved in this area and cut down on drug abuse here? We're going to throw manpower at it. We're going to have increased manpower on the lower end of the county. That's the highest call volume area of the county anyway. So if you were looking at it just from that point of view, that the call volume is extremely high down there, and you've got one deputy trying to answer all those calls with someone coming over to help and when they can. There's no way that anything real constructive can be done under those circumstances. My plans are to fortify that area with more men, and to me, that's where the battle against drugs starts, is on the lower end of the county here. And like I said earlier, a total submersion campaign is the way we will approach that. And that means sending plenty of officers down there, using a proactive approach, and just, hey, harass the crap out of these drug dealers and drug houses. Shake it loose. But it takes manpower to do that, and I'm definitely willing to commit to that, yes. Jamie Dunn is a good man and been a great officer for many years. I believe he was let go by the Sheriff's Department for wrong reasons. If he wanted to return, would you consider bringing him back? Yeah, absolutely. He happens to be sitting right over here, looking at me right now. I have known him personally for over 20 years. And I know him from law enforcement. I know him to be a great law enforcement officer, and he'd be an asset to any law enforcement agency, but I plan on making him an asset in mine. I can promise you that. Bring back, okay. You got a deal. Michael Sheriff, what about adding Sheriff Department annex in the more drug-prone areas? Do you think this would help with the issue? Yeah, I think mostly it's going to help to have more manpower in these areas. But there used to be an annex in Caroline and around. Yeah, I would definitely be willing to look into that. Not that they would be staying in that annex building; they will be out patrolling it and doing their job. But it would be a good place for them to meet and do paperwork and stuff like that. It would be helpful in that area. So yeah, the county's big. There needs to be probably several annex buildings to where officers can come back and do their paperwork without going all the way to the courthouse. Kim Melton Dunn. In terms of equipment for deputies, is there anything they're currently lacking or the county is lacking? Yeah, we're lacking in a lot of things. I feel like simple things. I didn't know this until recently. Our officers don't have stop sticks where they can terminate a chase that could get out of hand and kill someone. They don't have the ability to throw the stop sticks. They don't have them. They don't exist. Kind of blows my mind that piece of equipment is not in their quiver. There's other things that I feel like, but let me tell you this: there's ways of getting this stuff without any extra cost to the county. There's grant money that you can access to actually get some of this stuff. We've had a tremendous amount of shooting and some standoffs in the county. I think an armored vehicle would be a very big asset to the department. These also, finding the right grants, you can get those off of grant money, and it's just a matter of digging and scratching and finding. Yeah, I tend to use grant money as much as possible. If drug court comes back, put the children of the people who are on drugs, social services, as full as it is. Yeah, I think those things are already in place. I don't know how overextended that social service is as far as foster homes. There's a huge need in this county for foster care. How do I know that? Because my wife and I have done foster care for the last 16 years. So we see a little bit of what you're talking about, but there's ways to work with foster care agencies to help drive a big campaign for more parents. We definitely need that, especially in the drug culture we got now. Children have got to have a stable place to stay. Thank you, Laney. Kevin Lane, do you see a need for specialized officers or teams, which the sheriff office doesn't already currently have? Not really specialized. I feel like that a crime suppression unit would be something that I would be very interested in forming, a crime suppression unit. What does that mean? It goes back to what I was saying a while ago about a submersion campaign. These guys would be equipped and educated to be able to go into a high-risk community and do that very effectively. So I'm glad you asked me that, because that is one thing that I like to establish. That will go miles and miles and miles into helping us solve the drug activity that's going on in this county right now. Okay, drug seizure money. Yes, absolutely, it sure can. And seized funds will definitely be utilized to help us fight this war that we're fixing to wage on drugs. Absolutely. That was a good question. There were a majority of good officers have begun stating they feel demoralized with Francis refusing to defend them to the current allegations against very small numbers of deputies, and will do so. Here's the way that this is. This is simple. If you accuse any of my officers of wrongdoing, I'm going to look into it. If I find out that your accusations were wrong, and I know my officer is in the right, you can bet I'm going to stand up for him. It's a thankless job sometimes, okay? But when you've got, let's say, a false allegation against an officer, yeah, you've got a duty to stand up for your man. Now, if they're in the wrong, then they need to be terminated, and it needs to be out in the open. Everybody can see it. But if the question was false allegations, if there's false allegations getting made about my officers, you'll hear from me. No problems. What kind of things could you come up with for young people to have something to do besides doing drugs? That's kind of tough. You're getting into society in general and the way kids are raised, the environment that they are in school, peers. It's always been the same. I would hope that first and foremost we'd get their parents off of drugs. Drug addicts generally raise drug addicts. So that's why I take dealing with the drugs so serious, because it does affect, if it affects the kids more than it does anything. But the best thing I could do as a sheriff is to get people off of drugs. And that's the best thing that I could do to help the kids. Because if the parents are on drugs, and I have dealt with it legally, the kids are going to be going to a home where they're not seeing that and they're nurtured. But yeah, just like I said, drug addicts generally end up raising drug addicts, and it's a cycle that has to be broken. We need help on Hines Road. Been promised for years. Right down here, there's 3 meth houses with 5 campers around it. 20 people are living here. Been a murder there, and 50 cars at the house. Jamie Dunn helped me out on this. Called the sheriff's office with no help. Even have family working at the sheriff's office and been told that it's not a priority. Never see cops on the lower area. I called Jamie Dunn himself. Help us out. Bring Jamie Dunn back as soon as possible. That's going to happen. I'm sorry that it seems that you've been ignored down there. That's a terrible situation that should garner the attention of the administration, and something should definitely be done. You should see lots of officers in that area. I can't pretend to answer the question as to why you've not seen anything done. All I can do is tell you that that will not happen with my administration. That's the kind of things that we want to go after. And I'm sorry that you're having such a hard time communicating the level of despair that you must be feeling right now to the administration. I can't answer for them. I can just tell you what I would do, and I have a real good idea what Jamie Dunn would do too. So. Do you have any plans to look at people individually, criminals or not, and give us something Francis never had a chance to be a functioning citizen in society, and allow us, our side of the story would be known, despite deputies have put shame on our name. Look, yeah, you know, we all make mistakes. The Bible says that we all come short of the glory of God, which is true, and myself included. Some mistakes are bigger than others, but you know what? If you've overcome it, that's a powerful testimony to other people. And you know, it doesn't matter if you're dealing with someone who is still having problems with the drugs or drug addiction. Everyone that you deal with deserves to be treated with dignity and respect, especially from a law enforcement officer who is supposed to exemplify that. So, yeah, I mean, I would have no problem having a conversation with anybody. I have been doing that on a fairly regular basis on Facebook, but yeah, what you have to say is very important to me. Do you respect Mr. Francis, and what is the difference in yourself and your Republican opponents? I can respect any law enforcement officer. I am certainly not the type of person, and I'm not in this campaign to talk poorly about anybody. I'm sure that there's been things done, great things done in this county by Chris Francis. But I'm looking at areas where I feel like that things could be done better. Not throwing anything at him, just not going to do that. But I do see things that I feel like I'm a fresh set of eyes. I have the experience. I am from the county, and I got a different perspective on how to do things. And I think my perspective will be effective. I just don't really feel like that it's my place to put down the current sheriff, and I will refrain from doing so. I just want people to see what I want to do, and they can contrast that themselves with what's going on. The number one question I hear a community ask is, what can they do to help fix current problems? Well, I mean, the problem. Okay, well, we're back now.
Right now.
Okay, sorry, I don't know what happened, and okay. One question I hear. Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, it is my responsibility to let the people know just how important it is to get out the vote. I have a lot of people who say they're supporting me, but if I don't get those people motivated to come and vote, then I'm not going to be your next sheriff. So if you want change in this county, which I believe the majority of you do, then you're going to have to vote for change. You're going to have to actually physically go cast your vote for change. And I notice it, and I'm not going to call any names out, but I got a lot of officers that are watching. And I want you to know that I respect you. And as long as you're doing the right thing, you have nothing to worry about when I come in there. If there's some people that's been coloring outside the lines, they're going to be dealt with immediately. But the overwhelming majority of the people that are there are good, hard-working deputies who want to see change themselves, who want to see things take place that betters our county. That's what we do this for. And I just want them to know you have nothing to worry about with me. Okay, you got my vote. We need a sheriff with a man after God's own heart. Thank you, sir. I can already see you shining again because I love covers up seeing that. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. That's a great compliment. Although the sheriff's office is not requiring provide body camera footage in response to public requests, would you be willing to afford public with some avenue to view body camera footage? Well, yeah, I mean, most definitely after an investigation has been conducted, there's no way that I would do anything to jeopardize an investigation. But yeah, once the investigation is done and the charges have been made, I have no problem with releasing, nor should anyone have a problem with releasing body camera footage. Thank you, Misty. I appreciate that. I'm pleased you've been focused on cleaning up the drug theft issue. It is the county's biggest issue, not focusing your campaign on, well, if it doesn't affect the general citizen on a normal basis. Well, I mean, I can't judge my campaign on something that hasn't happened. I can't judge my campaign on hypotheticals. I can only judge my campaign on facts. Just like if I was doing an investigation, it would be facts that I would have to base everything on. So, yeah, I mean, no need in going after anyone without facts. I have no right to do that. This isn't campaign related, but given your other great talents, do you care if we refer to you as the singing sheriff? Whatever you want to refer to me as, yeah. yeah, I do sing. There was a country artist, I believe, that was referred to as the singing sheriff. Yeah, I'll take that. Sure will. I'll tell you what. Give me another month or two, and I'll be more than happy to do that. I know who he is. Y'all don't yet, but just give me a couple of months. Jimmy Tate. Where could we put a rehab in the county? Could we get grants to help with food, counseling? That would be bigger than me. That would be something that the whole county needs to look into. Although it would be a great benefit to us as a law enforcement agency to have that in place, it's really not something that I would have any control over bringing a rehab facility to the county. However, I would be very grateful if it did happen. You have my vote, wouldn't you? Wouldn't want anyone else in a position but you. Thank you, Shane. I appreciate that. Morgan Condry. When do we go vote and where? You'll be voting in the primary, which will be, I don't know exactly what day yet, and I apologize for that. I should know that. It will be in April of 2022, right? April of 2022 is when I'm getting some people to check on that for you so I can give you an exact answer, but it will be in April of 2022, which will be just a year from this April. Yeah, we will get you an exact date on that. Thanks for asking. About people in the county, how the city limits being loud after hours. Since there's no noise ordinance in the county. Well, I worked in Polk County, and most everywhere you went there was country. Never shied away from going and knocking on the door and asking people to cut their music down, even without a noise ordinance. They should do that out of courtesy, and I have no problems my officers going and telling them, hey, turn it down. I would too, let's see, Andrew, would there be any way to increase officers' salaries across the board, maybe use drugs proceeds, grants, etc.? Yeah, that is something that we will be looking into. I think that officers certainly deserve to be paid more than what they are. But yet, certain positions you can use grant money for that. But across the board, that would probably have to come from county commissioners. But that is something we intend to work on. Absolutely. Thank you for that, Andrew. I agree with you, Jordan. I want to take a minute to point you to my website. It's TonyRobersonForSheriff.com. Pretty simple. TonyRobersonForSheriff.com. If you can donate to the campaign, it would be a great help. We're trying to get everything together to where we have the proper advertising and things to get our message out in the county. It does require funds, but you can go to TonyRobersonForSheriff.com, and there'll be a donate tab there that you can donate safely and securely. And I'm going to do something else. If you have any questions for me that maybe you didn't think of during this session, my phone number, this is my personal cell, is 828-429-3000. Pretty easy. It may be that you don't get me at first. I will try to keep my voicemail cleaned out where you can leave me a message and I will return your call. It's important to me that I'm able to talk to you. And if there's any question that should arise, right now I can't do anything. If you have specific issues like crime taking place in your area, you certainly need to try to focus to get that to the attention of the sheriff's office now, where they can deal with that right away. Also, you can text me on that number. That might be the easiest way sometimes to get a hold of me, and I promise you, I will answer your question. But I just wanted to bring that up again. It's 828-429-3000, and my website is TonyRobersonSheriff.com. That's where you can go and donate. And I'm going to tell you something. You might not think that little amounts help, but it certainly does. Anything helps when you're doing something like this. So if you can afford it, we sure could use it. Well, let's see. Anthony Bailey. Hey, Anthony. Why is it important you to announce your campaign so early? Well, you know, I wanted to be able to say, yeah, you know, I see what the rest of you are seeing. I'm from this county. I see what everybody else is seeing, and I want to do something about it. And I felt like it was important to get that message out just as quickly as I could, and I did. Thank you for that question. I wish it was this April. A year is too long for you not to hold position. We will need good change soon. Well, it'll go by quick. It seems like a long time, but it's just, you know, a year and a couple of months, and we'll make it there. We need help us for the homeless and the elderly. They're empty buildings everywhere. I agree with you. You know, maybe not the elderly population, but certainly regular homeless population stems directly from this drug problem that we've got. I like to see it to where we've dealt with that so effectively that inadvertently the homeless problem solves itself. That is my hope, that we deal with the drugs in such a way that the homeless problem solves itself. But in the meantime, yeah, there needs to be places that they can go to stay warm, stay cool, be fed. All those things are very important, and there's community leaders in this county that are very dedicated to that effort also, I will tell you. Jessica, are you going to be able to get drugs under control and stop the violence? Well, I think that if you get the drugs under control, it goes a long way in stopping the violence. Because a lot of the violence that you're seeing right now is drug related. I mean, it directly or indirectly goes back to a drug problem. So Yeah, that's absolutely my goal, is to make a difference in that area. We all can help start Community Watch in your community. Yeah, that's what I want. I want to establish that. That's very important to me. You know, and I'm not looking for armed men going around in a vigilante type. I'm looking at this more of an information to help us deal with the situations in the community and just effective communications with people in the community. I definitely want to have a robust community watch program to where you're being met with on a monthly basis somewhere and being able to tell us what's going on in your community that concerns you, to give us an opportunity to deal with it effectively. Laney, what will you do if someone is throwing threats at your officer on social media? Well, you know, it will be dealt with. Let me put it to you that way. That threats of any kind toward police officers and toward any police officer, law enforcement officer, will not be tolerated. Hate to ask this. But many do wonder, the cult-like churches in the county, of course, we don't judge. As many people in the judicial system, money seems to kind of make, let me write out and change court dates. Francis would never even respond to the county's issues. Get kind of special, get out of the jail base. Well, it goes back to me that I don't care what your standing is in the community, you're expected to follow the law. And it is my job to deal with the people who's refused to do that. And like I say, regardless of who you are, who you know, who you're associated with, that don't enter into the picture. Or it definitely should never enter into the picture. And I'm, you know, I really don't know what else I can say on that other than every allegation that we have comes to us will be investigated, and if the investigation uncovers illegal activity, it will be dealt with to the fullest extent of the law. One part of the homeless people, if they follow the rule, do drugs, so at a homeless shelter, county help people. Yeah, I mean, you know, obviously, you can't have a homeless shelter and allow people to come in there and continue to do the drugs. I fully understand that. That's where we really need some work. It'd be my job to make it extremely hard for them to purchase the drugs. But yeah, I understand what you're saying, and no, you couldn't allow that in a facility. Can you assure you? I can promise you, with everything I have in me, that I'm going to be transparent, that I'm going to be accessible, and I'm going to be truthful. That's the most important thing that I could possibly do as a law enforcement officer. Absolutely, that's a promise I will have made and will continue to make and will uphold. Well, listen, folks, I appreciate you don't know how much all the good questions. I hope I've answered them satisfactory. I have to the best of my ability, I feel like. But we are going to have some more of these along the way. And I think these are critical, and I think they're important. And I think that we should continue to do these things, and certainly even after we're elected, continue this type of communications and along with others. And I do appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to lob some questions at me and get to know me a little bit better. And I look forward to doing it again. Thank you.